Hey you guys, this is book review number 16. 16. So anyway, this week I will be reviewing Hard Men Humble, Vietnam Veterans Who Wouldn't Come Home by Jonathan Stevenson. Now, this really isn't a history book or a travel book, but what it really is a sort of log of Vietnam veterans who, after the Vietnam War, decided to either stay in Southeast Asia or came back to the United States and then moved to Southeast Asia at some point later in their lives. It doesn't just include Vietnam, it also includes people that live primarily in Thailand. And I think one that maybe lived in Cambodia, and then a couple that lived in Vietnam. So what I really enjoyed about this book was the diversity of people that they covered, and that was intentionally chosen by the author. There were really sort of the apologetic veteran, kind of the crazed veteran, the veteran that was trying to restart the war, or relive the war, I guess. But there was also just the veterans that for example, like Southeast Asia was the best time of their life, and they were just trying to see that through. And then there were also veterans that just kind of became dissatisfied with the protests in the West, like getting blood thrown on them, or at least hearing stories of soldiers getting blood thrown on them when they got back from Vietnam. But one of the things the author, I should mention his name, Jonathan Stevenson, mentioned in the book was sort of going beyond the stereotype of the crazed Southeast Asian veteran, aka like the Rambo or whatever, or even like the broken Southeast Asian expat veteran. He covered a number of people who were very successful in business, but just for personal reasons decided to move to Southeast Asia and were successful there as well. Like airline pilots or, just businessmen. Even there were a number of people that have started charities in Southeast Asia, be it for like computer program or, getting computers to rural villages and just general stuff like that. Let's see, what else did I enjoy about the book? I think I really enjoyed, I haven't read that much about the battles and the fighting in Vietnam in quite some time. So even though it's not of my interest, just because, I feel like as important as it was, and the author made that very prevalent in this book, just how important it was to these people, and how people in the West really kind of put Vietnam veterans in the Vietnam War in a box that's do not open. As much as that's true, I guess I am one of that general populace, and the Vietnam War only has limited appeal to me. Which is why, compared to World War II, let's say, that was an example used in the book, that war affected everybody. So you can't really put it in a box or set it off to the side. It has to be celebrated, it has to be seen, whatever. But Vietnam, because it affected people, but it didn't quite affect everybody in the society. Large chunks of the society have just written it off, and that's actually a large reason why veterans moved back, is because the Vietnam War was such a large part of Southeast Asia, not only Vietnam, but also Cambodia, Laos in the war, and even Thailand, and kind of the spillover effect of everything that went on in the war there. So if you're a Vietnam veteran in one of those countries, be it for good or be it for bad, there's no way to acknowledge, or there's no way to not acknowledge the effect that the veteran had. All right, now to the things that I kind of disliked. I sort of disliked the fact that I don't know, it seemed to push a political agenda that kind of viewed the 50s or the early 60s as this nostalgic era, and anything post that as bad, with the exception of Ronald Reagan. And I don't know, not to get too much into my personal politics, but I feel like it's kind of particularly in the Reagan years, the acknowledgement of Vietnam veterans, while necessary, I feel was kind of like a nostalgic waxing over something. It didn't feel real genuine. I'm certain Vietnam veterans would disagree with me on that, but I don't know. It just felt like an era of mourning to America that, despite whatever problems there were in the current society, we could always, I guess, look to our past and be sentimental about it, and that would make us feel good, and then, everything would be okay. So, let's see. What else do I have to say? I don't know. I was hoping that the book would cover a little bit more of the Vietnamese people and the just climate of Vietnam post Vietnam War. I really feel like this is a problem when discussing the Vietnam War. Not really the Vietnam War, I should say, but the Vietnam as a whole, the ramifications of the war and just the after effects of the war, is that we tend to talk quite a bit about the effect that it has either on veterans or on American society. But when it comes, at least I haven't read, and I'm sure it's out there, but I haven't read a real detailed report of the Vietnamese themselves, be it the new generation and how they're living, born post-1975, or sort of the older generation and how they have continued their lives. And what was mentioned in the book, while very well true, about Vietnamese people and people living in Vietnam. And there was some analysis in there, but you could probably create like a 10-page article if you just took the parts of this book about the Vietnamese. This is a 200-page book about the Vietnamese and about the climate in Vietnam, not involving the veterans, or just the veterans as secondary. There. Hold